Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Schefter.
Yay, Schefty!
Schefty, hey, thank you so much for joining us. I know you had a flight late last night to get back home, so I appreciate you being on top of it. Let's dive right in. We were just wrapping up the Sam Darnold Vikings conversation. After the last 2 games Sam Darnold has had, there are some people in here that are Pittsburgh Steelers fans who say, I'd pay that guy 3 years, $100 million to be our quarterback going forward because they don't have a quarterback. Then there's other people who do have a quarterback that say, did Sam Darnold miss out on $120 million over the last couple weeks? What are your thoughts on the Sam Darnold situation, and what do you think happens with he and the Vikings going forward, just from where we sit today, one day after their season-ending loss?
Well, I still think he's probably the number one free agent quarterback available in a market where there are any number of teams that need quarterbacks that will not be able to get the quarterback that they need in the draft. And so he's going to be a desired commodity. But you can't look at the last 2 weeks and think that he enhanced his value. I think he had a chance to kind of blow the roof off his value, and they lost at Detroit, and they lost last night, was sacked 9 times, blame the offensive line, blame whoever you want. But those are not his best and finest back-to-back games of the season. And he played exceptionally well all year long, and he boosted his value, and everybody saw the type of quarterback that Sam Darnold is. But the last 2 weeks clearly, I think, impacted his value in a negative way. But we'll see how much. He's still the best free agent quarterback out there, and so you have to think somebody is going to value that a tremendous amount. The question is how much.
So does that mean that that's good news for the Vikings, who potentially weren't going to be able to get to the number that maybe another team was, but now there's a chance that the value has been brought down just a tiny bit where the Vikings would be able to dance, even though they have to pay Addison, have already paid Justin Jefferson, and have many other names on the team that are going to get paid big dollars?
It's a great question, Pat. I don't know that we know the answer to that right now. I think it's going to depend on what the market bears, right? If there's a team out there a la the Raiders, the Giants, the Steelers, whoever it is that needs a quarterback, there are any number of them that do, that looks at Sam Darnold from this year and says, okay, we're going to pay the guy $40 million, whatever it is. They may get it to a number that may be out of the Vikings' range.
Got it.
But it's possible that the last 2 weeks impacted the number enough so that maybe it's within the range of the Vikings' asking price and they can get a deal done and bring him back. But again, I think here's the thing. They have J.J. McCarthy waiting in the wings. They really like J.J. McCarthy. They don't know exactly what they have, but they love what they saw this summer. He spent a good part of the year rehabbing, so you're not going through practices. You don't really know for sure what you have. You think you have a quarterback, but you don't know you have a quarterback. So I think in a perfect world, you'd like to have Sam Darnold back if you could, but there may be a team out there that's willing to pay him more than the Vikings are.
Got it.
I think there's a wide range of outcomes here.
Yeah, so they got a reserve on. You know, if it hits the reserve, it can go somewhere else. Yep. If it doesn't, we're going to end up paying that. I wonder if that's a percentage of the salary cap is the number, or if it's an actual hard number with how the entire thing is going. You mentioned a couple other stories that we'll certainly get to, but on the other side, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the Rams, who just got a massive win. It feels like in the middle of the season, we're chatting about maybe the Rams being sellers at the trade deadline. Then they get healthy. Look, they've won another playoff game. This is Sean McVay football. This is Matthew Stafford football. What do you think was the big change or turning point this year? Was it just health and getting everybody back on the field for the LA Rams? And I don't know if I saw this coming. I'm going to be honest with this particular Rams team coming into the season, going through the season, and then watching that last night, buzzsaw Los Angeles Rams right now.
Well, Pat, I don't know if they saw it coming. I think that they thought that they had the potential to be good, but they didn't know which way it was going to go. And you mentioned that leading up to the trade deadline, they were waiting to see which way this team would go. And I think it was the Thursday night game against Minnesota that they won that pushed them more towards going for it this year, whereas if they had lost that game, it's possible they then would have approached the trade deadline differently, listened to offers on certain veterans, a la a Cooper Kupp, that they never got to that point. But did it come up, hey, if we're knocked out here, is this something that we should do? That's a conversation to that extent that came up. But they won, and they moved forward, and the young defense got better and better and better. And Cooper Kupp came back and Puka Nacua came back. And when you watch Puka, when he comes back, I mean, that that just feels like it's everything because that guy is dynamic and changes the way the offense is run. It feels like the offense runs through him and Kyron Williams. And they've just gotten better and better and better to the point where last night, in talking to that team this weekend, they said last week might have been the single best week of practices that they've had all year long. And they had that with all the adversity going on, with them moving to Arizona, with their city being on fire. I think there was so much that they were going through, but I think going to Arizona focused this team in, exactly. And Sean McVay kept telling this team, we're built for this, and exactly what he told the team in the post-game speech last night after they sacked Sam Darnold 9 times and trounced the Vikings and moved on to play the Eagles on Sunday in Philadelphia.
The LAFD hats, too.
Yeah,
just
sweet.
It was cool. And can't, once again, say it enough. Cardinals. First-class operation over there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They put up a list of all the things that they did, and how about the paint, the grounds crew? It looked like when you're watching a game, it was a Rams.
Rams home game.
You felt like it was a Rams home game.
Yeah.
52,000 tickets sold in 20 minutes or something, or 2 hours. I forget what it was.
But by the way, Pat, I'm standing in the back there, and I was standing with the Rams people. Like, you noticed the signage? I'm like, what sign? Like, it was right in front of my face, but I'm sometimes oblivious enough that I didn't even notice. They had that big red zone thing. It was covered with a SoFi banner, a blue SoFi Rams.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, every signage around the stadium. They tried to turn that place into as much of a home game. The Rams house. That's what they did, and that was a lot of people in that organization that put a lot of time and energy and effort into making that whole 4-day experience in Arizona worthwhile, and it showed with the way that the team played on the field.
I was watching, and they were showing the guy painting, and it's like, that's not an easy logo.
At all.
If you haven't done it, like, there's like a lot of this. There's like a lot of it. It was, I just appreciated the amount of effort and buy-in from all parties to make this happen, because obviously force majeure is taking place in LA. And once again, can't say it enough. T's and P's to everybody over there in LA. The videos are devastating. I believe Aaron is either going to come on tomorrow or the next day, because he's in the middle of all the.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
Wow.
I was just in San Jose last night and playing. I sat in the FBO for like 15, 20 minutes with Gumpy, and we got a chance to talk to a little bit of the locals there. Them talking about the fires that happen in California every single year, and then in comparison what this one is and why. And their knowledge on fires is just so, because I come from Pittsburgh, which I think it rains the second most in America, like behind Seattle. So fires were never even a thought in Pittsburgh, so I never even knew about it. Then learning about it now through this entire situation, and then talking to locals, it's like, that's a real thing every year, I guess. All the time fires are. That one, just because of the way the winds and where it went and how, and you just can't predict it because the winds are just taking it. Those pictures, man. Hey, we are so sorry you're going through it, but once again, we'll be the dipshits that'll try to distract. Now, we go from Rams house in Arizona to Jerry World in Arlington. Okay. Is there a way we can get Tim Tebow and LeBron James involved in this as well? Because we got Deion Sanders, Jerry Jones, and the Dallas Cowboys in a hiring cycle that has Shedeur Sanders as one of the top quarterbacks in the draft class. This sounds like it's made up literally in an ESPN lab. How real is this? And what are we thinking the chances of Coach Prime having a star on his hat actually are?
Well, a few things here. First of all, last night I spoke to Prime in the second half of the game. He called me after his dinner, and I put out basically one of the things they said. And you texted me like, what does this mean? There's the statement, right? To hear from Jerry Jones is truly delightful, and it's intriguing. I love Jerry and believe in Jerry. After you hang up and process it and think about it, it's intriguing. But I love Boulder, and everything there is about our team, the coaches, our student body, and the community. And you texted me and said, what does that mean? Exactly. I can tell you this. Having spoken to him, the way that I took it was he was not interested in going to the NFL. He was not thinking or planning to go to the NFL. It may not even happen that he goes to the NFL. But because he loves and respects Jerry Jones so much, when Jerry calls, of course, he's going to talk to him. And he was intrigued, to use his word, intrigued to speak to Jerry Jones. heaped all kinds of praise on Colorado. He's been talking to the athletic director there. I'm sure I could say this in the back of my mind. Probably there's money involved. I don't think that's a ridiculous notion when it comes to Prime, who's been an incredible businessman throughout his entire career. But I said to him at the end of the conversation, Pat, I said, so what's next? What happens now? And he said to me, I don't know. I said, you don't know what happens next? Are you going to? I don't know. So I think right now, everything is in the beginning stages. There's no meeting plan with Jerry right now. But clearly the lines of communication are open. They're going to be in touch. And I think it goes for both sides. Deion Sanders is figuring out what's best for him. Is it best to stay in school? His sons are leaving. He's got recruits coming in. Does he want to be there? Does the school look out for him? Does he want to go to Dallas? Does Jerry want to go move in that direction to hire him? You know, again, and I said this to Ty this morning, we were taping my podcast. About 16, 17 months ago, October of 23, a GM in the league called me. He said, get out your pen and paper and write this down. Deion Sanders is going to be the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. I'm like, okay. I wrote it down, and I saved some pictures of the two of them for the time when it would become relevant. So last night I'm going through my phone back to October, November of 23. There are the pictures that I've been saving for the day that this GM had told me about this actual event potentially happening. And I think it still could go a lot of ways. The Cowboys are going to go into a coaching search. They may fall for somebody. They may be impressed with somebody. They may move in the direction that's not Deion related. But it may be that of all the people that they talk with and meet with, nobody impresses or interests them as much as Deion Sanders does. So I think right now they're navigating it. Deion's navigating it. They're both an option for each other, and we'll see where it goes.
A lot happened when Deion Sanders had that star on his helmet. You know, I mean, all the highlights that we get a chance to watch, all the, you know, it all comes on that AstroTurf. You know, we see his 6 shoes. He's faster than everybody. He was more athletic than everybody. He was going to be more flashy than everybody. And I think all of that happened because he was going to outwork everybody. And I think that is why Jerry Jones probably took such a liking to primetime, because he was everything that embodied basically the Dallas Cowboys. Works his ass off, successful, flashy. Listen, we're going to be a brand. We're going to be flashy. We're going to be internationally known. We're going to be comfortable in the spotlight. So I think Jerry and Prime, this is just from outside looking in, not having any actual relationship really with either of them, feels like they're almost made for each other. So then now Coach Prime has proved that he's a coach that can, you know, get men to follow. He has proved that he's been able to go into a place that maybe seemed hopeless, which some people, if you listen to Troy Aikman, would say that Dallas Cowboys might currently be a little bit hopeless. Not that Troy meant that, but he kind of insinuated, like, I don't know if that's a desirable place. And then also you think about just the fact that anytime Prime walks into a room, he immediately gets the respect from everybody inside of it, let alone how he operates. There was something that just came out. Prime's not letting any slides. No tank tops, no nothing, basically, around the Colorado building. And I was a little bit upset about the tank top thing. I'm like, hey, whoa. Sure. That doesn't mean you're not professional not wearing tank top. But it's like everything that Prime is about seemingly would be great for the Cowboys to have in there. Now, granted, can it work? Will it work? I have no idea. Will he want to do it? Will Jerry want to do it? I have no idea. But it feels like what Coach Prime is about, which people don't expect, like the accountability, this, you need to show up, you need to work, we need to win, you need to be confident, we need to, all the darn things, man, that he talks about. It's like that's what football is kind of getting back to right now. It feels like if you start looking around at different places. He's a culture setter, plus he is a brand that is associated with Dallas already. Feels like it would make sense. Would he want to leave Colorado?
Big personality.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
I was just saying.
I was going to say, I'm sorry to cut you off there, D-Buck, but he's a culture setter. He's a big personality. He fits all into Jerry's ideas like that. And I think the other thing, to tie in what Troy was saying, I think Deion is smart enough, experienced enough, savvy enough to be able to be willing to do that job on Jerry's terms, which is always key to that job. And I think that's, I don't want to speak for Troy, but in my read was that's what he was referencing, that things in Dallas are done on Jerry's terms. And that's not great for everybody. But Deion Sanders has been in Jerry's world. He knows how it works. He knows what Jerry's looking for. And I think if the Cowboys decided that Deion were the guy, and if Deion decided that that interested him, Deion would know exactly what he's signing up for, and he could navigate that job on Jerry's terms.
Yeah, and Deion might have enough relationship with Jerry to be like, nah, like that ain't. We're not doing that. Maybe we should do this.
That's the other thing, yeah.
Go ahead.
Would Jerry have that same respect for him to kind of, I guess, take a step back in some terms, because they are big personalities and obviously they know each other very, very well. But being the head coach, I'm sure he would want some say so in personnel, especially with how hands-on he is with building the college program. So it would be very, very interesting.
Kind of the notion, and I didn't know this because I hadn't paid attention to the Dallas Cowboys enough. No disrespecting, like legitimately. I do not mean that as disrespect. I just didn't pay attention close enough to the day-to-days. They say that there's like a narrative that anytime somebody gets bigger than a star, Jerry doesn't like it. Like Jimmy Johnson allegedly got bigger than the Dallas Cowboys brand. And anytime that happens, Jerry doesn't like it. Prime coming in there, he's already his own. Jerry would be able to handle that, a superstar that is also the head coach.
Hey. I think if Jerry could take back Jimmy now, I don't know how I feel about it, but I think he'd trade a lot for another Super Bowl title, however that came to him. He'd be willing to go through a lot for that. And it's been a while since they've won. And
what's the likelihood? You said Prime told you he doesn't know because he doesn't know what Jerry wants. He also doesn't know how it's going to be set up, laid out. Yep. There's a lot of question marks still for Mo. In your mind, in the history of covering the NFL, what is the likelihood that Coach Prime is coaching the Dallas Cowboys next season?
Well, all I could say is it's certainly a possibility right now, which, again, gives you enough content to talk about. It's possible. But you know what?
Thanks, man. Thanks for giving us the bone.
But let me give you more, right? Like, I think, in my mind, I think Jason Witten would be possible. Like, that's another one.
Fresh off a Texas high school state championship.
Come on.
Down there in Texas, he won a high school state championship. He just won a high school state championship in Texas, boy. Do you know what that means, boy? Do you know what
that ain't real? What?
Oh, that's the realest there is, boy. Wow. I don't know if you know what you're talking about.
I'm willing to wager anything that Jason Witten isn't the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. I think Schefter is too.
Well, really? You just said that.
No, I'm not. I put him in the possibility category, like I put Prime in the possibility category, and we're all waiting to see what Jerry decides to do. I'm not telling you that he's going to be the head coach, but I definitely would not dismiss Jason Witten from this conversation. Definitely not.
I would like to say that it is a shame, okay? And this is what just happened with you, I think, and probably happened with many. When they heard Jason Witten's name, they thought to themselves, the guy in the booth on Monday Night Football.
Ebakeem.
Rabbit out of the
foot. Yeah, the whole, okay? Yep. Remember, on the field, dog. In the locker room, beloved. I got a chance to see him kind of work at a Pro Bowl. Everybody loves that guy, legitimately. I think the booth has potentially jaded a lot. Huh?
It's good in the booth.
Okay, see, that's what the problem is. That's what the problem is right there.
Big Whit.
He was not ready for the moment.
Don't do that.
There was no reason to throw Jason Witten into the Monday Night Football booth, but they did without any seemingly practice or knowledge of what the job was. And they threw his ass in there, and everybody forgot how good of a football player that guy was. It legitimately happens just like that. People can forget.
Legend, yeah.
Legend on the football field. Beloved by teammates and by everybody that I saw him interact with. And he just won a Texas High School State Championship. Yeah. That boy can coach, put a whistle in his hand. The boy's going to do something for him.
Well, by the way, they put him in the booth because of the guy he is, because of the mind he has, because of the player he was, because of all those things, which is exactly all the traits that would make him, again, a possibility here. And I think everybody has seen what Dan Campbell's done in Detroit and the culture he's brought there and the impact he's had on the roster in the city. I think people are looking for that type of thing. And I'm just telling you, like a couple of people said, hey, that's the kind of impact they think Jason Witten could have if given the Now, again, you're projecting a high school coach, but
state champion in Texas, please.
He's a National Football League.
But no. I got it. It's a high school coach. But again, people are who they are. And Jason Witten, take out the Monday Night Football, has been an enormous success at everything he's ever done.
Agreed, football-wise.
Related to football.
Other than the booth. The booth was rude.
Booth is tough.
Big part.
Booth is not easy. Yeah. On Monday Night Football, you're thrusted in front of millions. Hey!
millions.
You don't even get the afternoon time slot to kind of cut your teeth with a couple 100,000 people watching. You get thrust right in the limelight. He was not ready for that particular role. Is he when it comes to football and coaching? We shall see if he ends up being in the middle of it all. 12:37 Eastern time. Schefter, I believe. Are you getting an update?
No.
One of these times you're going to break news.
Well, Mike Tomlin just said in Pittsburgh that he imagines that there's going to be a lot of change there on a lot of levels in Pittsburgh, whatever that means.
Whoa.
In a press conference. He just said that.
Okay, so on that note, Tone has a question for you, Schefter.
Yeah, what kind of levels are we talking there? DC, offensive
He just said it. He just said
it. Well, maybe speculate a little bit.
Well, again, both their quarterbacks are free agents for starters, right? They've got a number of free agents. So we'll see how that works out. But, I mean, look, they finished the season with 5 straight losses. They've lost 6 straight postseason games. I think that they recognize that they're going to have to change some things there, whatever that is. And we said before, I don't see that ownership group, the Rooney, they're not moving on from Mike Tomlin. I don't care how many people in the city of Pittsburgh are unhappy with the results or Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin is a great head coach. He's going to be the head coach there. He's got a no-trade clause in his contract. So any team that's looked into it, and there have been teams, has been advised that there's a no-trade clause in his contract. Mike Tomlin controls it. Owners aren't getting rid of him. And now they have to sit down, examine the roster, and figure out what they're going to do to get this team back to where they belong. Like their drought is, how many years? 8 years without a postseason victory? It's been a while.
Yeah, and it's also never having a losing season, which is a massive compliment, obviously, to being able to have an above 500 record every year. But when you do that, you're picking 16 to 23 in the draft every single time. So, you're not getting a chance because Mike Tomlin's even said to Chase Young, I believe, I'm never going to lose enough games to get a guy that looks like you, okay? And that's what Steelers fans are saying. We're never, with Tomlin, going to be able to lose enough games to get a game changer. Not to Chase Young, as I'm just saying the body style and the freaks that are up at top
Where'd
5.
they get TJ Watt? Where'd they get TJ Watt? What number was he?
29 to 32, somewhere in there.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah,
He's a game changer.
Yeah, where was Tom Brady drafted? He was pretty good. 198. You know what I mean?
Purdy.
Just why you don't even need. Oh, yeah. Was that the last pick of the draft?
265.
Who needs any other pick other than who found the guy dead last?
Hey, I just retweeted a Rams video, the 30-13 when they drafted Puka in the 5th round. Like,
so why do you not even need a draft?
Find him, Tony. Find your quarterback in the draft this year.
Yeah, figure it out, bro.
I didn't say anything about the draft.
Kenny Pickett, 21.
Yeah.
Sitting there.
Bring him home.
Wait, no, he might be Super Bowl champion this year.
He could be.
I don't care what team it is. Everybody hits and everybody whiffs.
Wow.
And the better teams hit more than they miss. Everybody misses.
Les Snead. They're going to check Les Snead's resume here if he keeps going the way he is.
Ball game.
And it's like, wow, this guy's unbelievable what he's doing. Okay, so the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be changes at all levels. So all the levels of an organization, there's ownership, then there's general manager and front office, then there's coaching, then there's scouting departments, then there's assistant coaches, there's graduate assistant coaches, then there's like coffee breaks, then there's like ticket sales. What are all levels?
Training
room,
Cafeteria.
equipment room. That's all levels, right?
Groundskeeping.
Yep.
We need better grass. Because
Anybody.
remember, they had to go to the stadium
Yeah,
during
they did.
practice.
Anybody can get it.
All levels, everybody's gone. Holy shit. That's a mass exodus down
You know what that means? It means Tone is a Steelers fan may be in trouble. Like all levels, including the fans. We got to change this up. Do whatever it takes to change what hasn't worked.
Couldn't
Tone,
Turn your gear in.
I couldn't agree more.
Kick the guy out of the fan hood.
Start shooting fans.
He was doing sets of
Tone's on
495
notice.
on
Yeah.
bench so he could hear we go
Bingo.
with Steelers fans unite.
Getting rid of the towels?
Completely Duffy. They're not getting rid of it.
I don't have to change at all levels.
Nah, don't you even think about it.
Changing Renegade. We're changing Renegade.
Whoa! Breaking!
Gotta keep
for your life if you keep talking about it the way you're talking about it right now. Terrible Towels stay.
Doesn't sound like it.
Renegade stays.
What about that stupid Super Bowl song?
Here we go. Steelers.
Here we go. Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl. Here we go. Mike Tomlin's firing everyone.
Here we go.
Because they can't get the job done.
Here we go.
All levels gonna see new faces because this place stinks day in, day out.
Here we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Maybe they get their own practice facility, too.
Yeah,
Instead of
that's a good
splitting that
start.
one with Pittsburgh, University of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that university's ruining that entire city.
Well, actually,
Well, they paid for a lot of it, too.
yeah, and they also just posted something about, like, they beat West Virginia in every sport.
What?
Yeah, they put
Not shooting.
They put a pic. I don't know if Pittsburgh has a rifle team. I don't even know if it's allowed, but every sport, basically. And the caption was pretty good. It said, country woes.
Oh, no, that is good.
That was a good
That is good.
That was good.
And they did,
Deep on
Nardouz did the
headline.
whole having a good time. Check. That tweet. From
Yeah, just wait. Rich Rod's back, though. Don't you worry about that. Okay, there's a new West Virginia coming to town. Congrats to Pitt. Okay, let's talk about another team that needs all the help it can get. Maybe even a new Super Bowl song. Go ahead, Con Man.
Yeah, Schefter, you say every team hits and misses. The Jets don't hit. They've kind of just missed. What is the situation with their head coaching search? We saw a report that it is highly, 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 three of them, unlikely that Rex Ryan will be the head coach. Do they have a leader in the clubhouse there? Or are they still kind of getting down to their finalists for their head coaching job?
Well, it feels like their search is expanding rather than contracting. It just feels like there are more and more candidates interviewed there all the time. I think they're being very thorough in their approach. I expect that later this week that they'll begin whittling it down to second interviews for candidates for GMs, maybe even head coaches, depending on the schedule. I still think that when you're looking at the Jets, I believe Aaron Glenn is square in play there as one of the potential guys. Aaron Glenn is going to get a job in this cycle. Ben Johnson is going to get a job in this cycle. And I think that there's every possibility and probably likelihood that the Lions are going to be losing both their coordinators in this cycle. I'd be really surprised if both of them didn't come out of this with head coaching jobs. And I think Aaron Glenn is somebody that already is getting a lot of attention with the Jets, a lot of attention in New Orleans. And like I said, it'd be a major upset to me if he didn't come out of this with a job.
He play there? He was there?
Yeah.
This would be going back.
Played there, started his scouting career there. I think he coached there, like everything.
Vrabes. It's just like Vrabes going up to New England, understanding the situation. Would just be like Prime.
By the way,
going to Dallas.
you just right. So if Vrabel gets hired in New England as a former player, and Aaron Glenn gets hired in New York as a former player,
Prime.
Maybe Dallas will follow that model too.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying is they all kind of know how the shit goes. Like the question with the Jets, I assume for a lot of great coaching candidates, and there's a lot of Jets fans around the WWE crew, so it's kind of fun to chit-chat and watch their misery and really live through it. It's like there's a lot of coaches that have heard everything about Woody Johnson, and he's not an ambassador for the next 4 years. He is going to be in the building, and one way or another, I know Woody's team isn't going to like to hear this. People hate working for you, brother. Like that is just kind of seemingly how it goes from a coaching department whenever people leave. Now, does everybody hate the place that they worked at if they get fired or move on? Potentially. You have to weigh all those things. But for these highly sought after coaching candidates, are you just going to sign up to work for Woody Johnson? I don't know if that's a lot of people's move, but Aaron Glenn, been there, done that, understands the situation, we assume, and would hopefully be able to command enough respect around a building to be able to handle that type of thing, just like you would think Vrabes with the Patriots, with the Crafts, because they know each other, just like you would think Prime with Jerry because they know each other. But is that reality or not? I don't know the world.
You know what? Here's the thing. I was on the phone with one of the candidates that interviewed with the Jets in the last, and he's like, I talked with Woody, he was great. And the thing, they haven't won. So if we went back and talked to the people that were working for Woody when Rex was coaching there and Tannenbaum, I'll bet you they might not say things quite as negative about Woody. But when you're not winning and the owner's involved, then it's easy to just go rip on the guy. I got it. And yes, there are a lot of people that have not enjoyed working for Woody. But I think it's a byproduct. It's sort of like the disgruntled locker room.
Agreed.
You could go into any losing locker room and find people that are unhappy with the coaches and the front office because they're not winning. And then go into a winning team and see how many people you don't hear as much. Winning silences it all. Losing exacerbates it all. And it's pretty simple. Now, again, the Jets have done something wrong for a long time because they haven't won playoff games. They've been irrelevant. They haven't come through. But I think pinning it on Woody at times is deserved, but it's low-hanging fruit to me.
I agree. And his 17-year-old son deserves some blame, too. But whenever, I'm joking, obviously, in this situation, that whole story certainly seemed fake to read. And I understand what you're saying, too. You can always find somebody that is saying somebody else screwed them. On a bar stool, like this person screwed me, an injury, I would have done this, the coach didn't like me, this whole thing. So I understand that there is a lot of disgruntledness to things, but coaches get fired from a lot of places and we don't hear the shit that we hear about Woody. Now, is it because it's New York and it's a lot bigger spotlight? Maybe, but maybe that's also an opportunity for Woody to look in the mirror and be like, hey, maybe I can learn from this and evolve. So the Jets can be great, because the Jets fans, boy, they're riding with them. These people would just do it.
Oh, yeah.
They're just in the
I respect it.
Me too.
Just sitting, sticking by a franchise through shitty times, decades, generations. I couldn't do it.
There's Louise, who works for the WWE. He's a Commanders fan. Been a Commanders fan his whole life. And his kid is 28 years old, had never seen him win.
Wow.
Had never seen him win. So he almost got choked up when I was talking to him yesterday. He was like, my son, finally got a chance to celebrate. That's a beautiful thing. Hopefully the Jets fans will be able to do that. There's another coach that was made on the market yesterday that we were just talking about a little bit late into the process. Go ahead, Ty Schmidt.
Yeah, Schefter, when it comes to Mike McCarthy, we know the Bears want an interview with him, and then also the Saints. There's a report that came out today that basically said, hey, if McCarthy, obviously this wouldn't happen in Chicago, but if McCarthy were to get hired by the Saints, he'd have interest in a potential reunion with Aaron Rodgers. What is the likelihood that McCarthy is going to get a head coaching job in this cycle? And can you see a world in which him and Rodgers are paired up again this coming year?
All the big swings and all the big topics today, right? We get everything going on in Dallas, and now we're going to marry up Rodgers and Mike McCarthy again. First and foremost, when you're having Aaron on next tomorrow, is that correct?
Yeah, I think it's about chaos right now over in Southern California. Obviously, he's in the middle of it right now. But I think tomorrow or the next day.
Yeah, well, hopefully everything's okay out there. Amen. And when you get him on, I think the first thing is whether he wants to play. When he's committed to playing, then you could begin to discuss all these options and whether that would be. I think New Orleans is financially committed to Derek Carr. Now, we'll see how that plays out. You're going to have a new head coach. He'll have ideas. But the cap situation is such that I think he's on their books for $40 million, and if they move on, they only gain $2 million. So either way, he's counting for $38 million. My math might be a little off, but not terribly
in that ballpark.
And so I think they're kind of committed. They have to be committed to Derek Carr, whoever the head coach is. So
that stinks.
Maybe
not really.
Mike McCarthy. If Mike McCarthy gets that job, and if Aaron Rodgers wants to play, and if they have the conversation, and there's a lot of ifs that have to happen before we could get there, in my mind.
Well, how about if Big Mike McCarthy, the prodigal Yinzer's son, goes back to Pittsburgh to be offensive coordinator? Then Mike Tomlin just said he's not committed to Fields or Russell Wilson, willing to look to see what's available outside in his presser, just as of moments ago reported by Mark Caboli. Now, Big Mike McCarthy's the offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
What?
Wow. Mike Tomlin's the coach. We're getting changes at all levels. What are the levels? OC, sorry, Artie. You're out of here. We're bringing in Big Mike, who understands what's going on around here. Isn't a big jagoff. Not that you are, but isn't a jagoff like everybody else. He's going to feel obligated to win one for the town in which he grew up. And who knows your offense better than anybody? Well, Aaron helped me create it. Sweet, he's available. Bang, Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh. Tongue Diggs, first reaction.
I thought you were going to say Dak. But Aaron would be Aaron.
Oh, my.
Tony Dogs.
There's your answer.
Not interested.
There's your answer.
Oh, wow. All right.
Yikes.
As we get out of here, Schefty, and kind of wrap up this entire convo, D-Bud has a question for you.
Yeah, Schefter, been following your Twitter account, X account. Saw you put some names out there with some potential GM candidates for some teams. We got a graphic with the firings that have become available. Any other potential candidates? I feel like we know most of the head coaching candidates are going to be hired in this cycle. But any potential GM candidates that we might not have been hearing about that are maybe picking up momentum towards some of these teams?
Again, I think you're hearing a lot about a guy in Kansas City. Mike Borgonzi, like the Titans list, right, that they're bringing in for second interviews here. Just let me open up 1 second, right? So we got on that list, and I think these are some of the names you're hearing about. Terrence Gray, the Bills Director of Player Personnel. Ian Cunningham, the Bears Assistant GM. John Spytek, the Bucks Assistant GM. Mike Borgonzi, Ed Dodds, John Eric Sullivan with the Titans as well. He's the Packers.
Oh, those guys.
Those are the names that seem to be coming up here. And I don't know that a lot of fans know them, but these are the guys behind the scenes that are doing their work in a little bit of anonymity, and now they're getting their turn in the spotlight, which is deserved, and we'll see which of them can come through and land a couple of these GMs. What do we got? The Raiders GM job, the Titans GM job, the Jets GM job, right? I think those are the three right now.
Patriots GM job, potentially.
No.
Elliot Wolf
No,
staying.
Elliot Wolf, well, I don't even think he's got the GM title, but he's staying in his job, whatever that is, and they're going to bring Ryan Cowden from the Giants, who worked with Vrabel in Tennessee. He's going to come in and assist Elliot Wolf underneath Elliot.
Yeah, Wolf is just VP of player personnel.
Yeah, well, now he's got an assistant VP of player personnel in Ryan Cowden.
So he's not even close to the GM.
So, yeah, but this guy is not
Vrabes
his
gonna
boss
be a
either.
GM?
This dude's coming in.
Yeah, to work under him.
So these guys are working for Vrabes.
Yeah, so Vrabes.
Is that what's happening? Vrabes is...
Vrabes is the man.
Hell yeah, he is.
Congrats,
You
Vrabes.
said it, brother.
Congrats, Vrabes.
He is the man.
Hey, he's earned it. And we're going to do a little thing in the second hour that revolves around one of his answers to a question. I'm excited to watch him do his thing. I'm excited to see, what no-name pops into a general manager role, that we get sold that this is the next super genius. Every GM hiring cycle, we have no idea who these people are. No clue. We have no. You rattled off 6 names. I know Ed because he's here in Indianapolis. Yeah. He's got that bald head or whatever. All those other guys, never heard of them. But if they get hired as a GM, you know what? These guys can see it.
Yeah.
That's the hope in this entirety. We appreciate the hell out of you, Schefter. Anything we should be thinking about that might happen today? Anything happening today?
Well, that's the great part about the NFL, Pat. It's the greatest reality show going. We never know what's going to happen in a given day, and hopefully there's enough excitement from yesterday that carries into today and tomorrow and for a few days here before we get ready for these divisional playoff matchups.
What do you throw, like the pigeons whenever you're walking through your
breadcrumbs?
Yeah.
That's basically what you do whenever you give us answers. I gave you enough here, didn't I? Go have a convo about it. Go have a convo. We appreciate the breadcrumbs.
I try to fatten you up. I try to give you as much breadcrumbs and morsels as I can.
I don't need that right now, brother. We're late.
You look good, Pat. You look good.
Yeah,
you look good.
Well, can't be wearing light colors right now. It's been a long season. It's been an awesome season.
Yeah.
But the food has been great too. The food has been great this
Also
season.
fantastic.
And that's always a problem. I need to get on the Schefter workout plan. This guy's always doing something in the morning, always moving. This guy's, how old are you? We just celebrated a birthday. How old?
58 years old.
Wow.
Well, 28.
You do. Well, that makes you wonder.
Pat will call me. It's like the phone will ring. It's FaceTime. It's 8:30, 9 a.m. I'm getting on my bike to go spin or whatever. What are you doing? Like, well, Pat, I'm trying to get some work in here. Pat likes to visit in on the workouts.
Yeah, I like to check in, just see where everybody's at. I like to FaceTime too because I want to see how we're doing. I want to see how we're doing just to see if there's a conversation. And every time you pick up, we appreciate the hell out of you. Even late last night as I was flying back from Monday Night Raw, we were having a full conversation late night about everything that was taking place. You're the man. Ladies and gentlemen, senior NFL insider for ESPN, Michigan man, Adam Schefter.
Yeah, Schefty.
Shout out Schefter. He always answers the phone.
Yes, he does.
Literally always answers the phone, which I appreciate the hell out of him for, legitimately.